Please consider liking the video and subscribing. Let's begin. The internet is a very interesting place. There's something for everyone. There's never a dull moment. You could be watching videos, playing video games, reading articles. The internet is truly never ending. People love to read or watch things that are really interesting. We can all laugh or be in awe of something. The internet has a nice way of bringing many different people together. The subject that I want to look at today is lost media. Why is it that we love looking at or researching lost media? Well, in today's video, I'm going to try my best to answer that question. Plus, if there's some media out there that you think is lost, write it down below in the comments. You never know. Someone might have an answer for you. Anyway, let's dive into this lost world of media. Lost media, a term that describes any form of media that is either forgotten or no longer exists in any way, shape, or form, meaning things like films, video games, music, shows, or TV broadcasts. The only way someone knows about it is if they have access to them. They'd either have a physical copy of it or have inside knowledge. That's why physical media is really important to preserve, so media doesn't get lost in the rubble. If you're interested in that subject, I did a video on that too. Anyway, why do people even care? Well, because it's interesting and also kind of creepy. Usually content that is considered lost media are things from back then or at a time in the world where the internet was still taking form and ways of saving media wasn't as easy as it is now. I say it's interesting because lost media is like looking through a window into a world of what could have been. For example, one of the most well-known forms of lost media is the early test footage for the movie Shrek. Shrek's I Feel Good animation as part of a 1996 test footage presentation. Now, originally only a 5-second clip of this scene was uploaded on YouTube back in 2010. As time went on, people's curiosity grew, and eventually, on November 23, 2023, even more footage was found and released. And now we have more context because it gives us insight into how Chris Farley, who was originally going to voice Shrek before Mike Myers, would have approached the character. I'm glad people out there care about these things. Shout out to you. But on the other side of lost media, it can be a little bit creepy at times. Another example is death videos and videos of criminals doing horrible things. This is on the level of creepy and just messed up. This is the type of lost media that shouldn't be found and should only be seen by the authorities as evidence. Even videos from tragical events like 9/11 or public shootings. That type of content shouldn't be seen because they're enjoyable to watch. It's very grim. Moving on. People also care about preserving other people's work. r/lost media is a subreddit dedicated to finding or discussing different types of lost media, even sometimes collaborating on finding something. People also care because they learn something different, something new. One of the reasons why I love lost media is because I learned something about a piece of pop culture that I didn't know before. Like, wow, I didn't know this thing was going to exist, then unfortunately it gets scrapped. Also, having literally everything from all across time is important. It shows us the different time periods in our existence. Let's say that in 100 years from now, a piece of media from our time is important to them for some reason. If it's lost, then there's no way to learn from different generations. Here are some other people's reasons. Personally, I just find the concept of not being able to ever see something that once existed intriguing. Searches are almost like treasure hunts, but 10 times more frustrating. For me, though I'm not very active, it's about honoring the work people have done and not letting their efforts be wasted on something that vanished into oblivion. The thrill of the hunt is what gets me. Finding the media is always satisfying, but I enjoy trying to figure out how to find the stuff. It comes down to that question again of what could have been. We think of things that didn't end up happening and we say, God, I wonder how that could have turned out. As I was doing some research for this video, I came across a couple things that made me ask that question. The first being a Beavis and Butthead PS1 game that was nearly complete and was set to release around the late 90s and could have been a tie-in to Beavis and Butthead Do America. Seeing that there are some in-game screenshots from the game, it's safe to say that there's an actual full playable game out there somewhere. Judging by the screenshots, it says that the game could have been played single player or co-op 2 players. By also reading some of the info about the game, the description states the following. Control Beavis and Butthead's speech, classic bits and characters from the TV show, 3D environments, appearance by Cornholio. Available November 16th. Now, why did this game get cancelled? Who knows? I mean, I know people would have loved this, and looking at the other screenshots, it didn't look bad. It probably would have been funny to hear quips and comments from Beavis and Butthead. Hopefully one day the game is actually released. The other piece of content that I found that was cancelled, it was a sequel to Chicken Little, a good movie that is very enjoyable, but the sequel would have been titled Chicken Little 2, Mission to Mars. This movie would never see the light of day, but a sequel was made, just not in movie version, a video game, Chicken Little, Ace in Action, which is, yeah. Chicken Little 2 Mission to Mars has a storyboard out there which plays out a scene where we see Chicken Little in a love triangle with Mallard and a newcomer, Rafaela, a sheep. Now here you can see this entire sequence play out, which ends with Mallard getting a makeover to impress Chicken Little, but ultimately we don't see if that even phases him since the storyboard ends there. In my opinion, I don't think that this movie would have been as good as the first one. Hey, that's just me though. We looked at what could have been, but there's also just some really weird and what the piece of lost media that people find interesting. The first is Osama bin Laden's Animal Crossing save and his Pokemon Diamond save. Now initially I thought this was some fake joke, but looking more into this, what makes this real is the CIA themselves confirmed this. People for a long time have wanted to get their hands on his save file. This is obscure because a man like that, who was responsible for setting up one of the most tragic events in history, was a Nintendo fan? Like what? Some also say that it could have been someone else's file. He did live with a lot of other people. I guess we'll never really know. Now, I don't think the save file will ever be accessible because the CIA has them and their security is probably no joke, so it's kept in their vaults. The next one I wanted to talk about was Lil Baby's Fish Center performance. First, let me say that Fish Center Live was an Adult Swim web show that was about fish in a tank, where there'd be a couple of commentators that would talk about the fish and rank them. At first, this show was not popular at all, and even to this day, a lot of people don't even know about it. But on one episode, Lil Baby was a special guest. He performed Yes Indeed in front of the fish tank and had an interview with them, which you can watch on YouTube. Surprisingly though, this interview has less than 200,000 views, once again because people didn't even know about it or what the show is about. Now originally this performance was thought to be lost because the original video went private for a while and no one else had the video, so technically it was lost media. And now that it's been found, while the performance isn't anything crazy, it's still funny to look at. Like I said earlier, most of what consists of lost media is from the past. And another thing people love is nostalgia. Nostalgia takes people back to simpler times in their life, when they were kids or when life was simple. So when the topic of lost media is discussed about an old game or a TV show, people will remember and reflect on those times. And I think that nostalgia does have a big role to play in lost media, because if you're trying to find something, you have to at least care about it enough for you to spend hours asking questions, reading forums, or going through your own collection. Now, I wanted to share a piece of lost media from my own life. I'm going to try my best to describe it because I don't remember what it is or what it was. So here it is. If you can tell me what it is, I'll be extremely happy. When I was younger, I was watching a movie on DVD. Back then, trailers for other movies would play, as well as sometimes animated shorts. In this case, it was an animated short. Now, in the short, there were two characters. One was a teacher with glasses, big nose, and big head. Overall, these characters were like humans, but a little more exaggerated. He also was missing some hair on the top of his head. The second character was a student. Now, in the short, the teacher is writing something on the chalkboard that was green. The student was sitting writing something down. The teacher walks over, reads what the student is writing, and he also said something to the student, but I don't remember what the teacher said. He then walks back to the chalkboard and continues writing. End of short. I remember seeing this, and even at that age, I must have been like maybe 6 or 7, and I thought, that was weird. So I grabbed the controller and rewind it so I can watch it again. But I accidentally went back to the main menu of the film. I said to myself, okay, well, I'll just watch the rest of the trailers until I get to that one again. And it didn't come out. I was genuinely confused, like, wait a second, why wasn't it there anymore? I kept rewinding it and paying close attention each time to see if it was maybe a part of something else, but it wasn't. I couldn't find it anymore. And for years, I always wondered, what was that? What could it have been? So if you have any idea of what I'm talking about, please write it down below. You would really help me out. So why do we love it? Well, it all comes down to caring about preserving old media and to reflect on what could have been. Let me know down below, why do you think we love lost media? And why do we find it so interesting? I want to say thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Also, I want to say thank you so much. We've just passed 700 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy. Thank you so much. Road to 800 has begun. Please consider liking the video and subscribing. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.